When All in the Family went on the air after we had 8 in the can, and it started in the next few weeks to climb to #1, we were all feeling our oats, and I went on a coffee break on the set on a camera blocking day.
Every single day, I drop a fresh video spilling deep secrets from Hollywood's golden age legends. If that's your kind of drama, go ahead and hit subscribe, smash that like button, or drop a comment. It's free, but it means everything. Now let's get straight into this wild ride because nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this one coming. When the news about Rob Reiner hit, everyone braced for the usual Hollywood routine. Those carefully polished thoughts and prayers statements full of soft words and perfect PR lines. You know the kind, publicists scrambling to keep things clean, quiet, and classy. But what went down yesterday with Sally Struthers? That wasn't rehearsed. It was raw, it was emotional, and it was painfully real. The kind of grief that makes you hold your breath because it feels way too personal to even witness. Sally wasn't just Rob's co-star, she was family. On All in the Family, she was Gloria to his meathead, and their bond ran deep long after the cameras stopped rolling. But what Sally revealed completely flipped the story we thought we knew about Rob Reiner's final months. Her confession didn't just surprise people, it sent shockwaves through Hollywood. And get this, her claims might even connect with the quiet rumors that have been slipping out of Tom Cruise's circle over the last few days. This isn't just a heartbreaking loss. It's starting to look like the opening act of a massive Hollywood scandal. We're talking about things that might have gone down behind the guarded gates of one of Brentwood's most famous mansions. For years, Sally Struthers had stayed silent, protecting Rob's name. But yesterday, she broke that silence. And when she did, it was like a storm finally breaking loose. She admitted she couldn't stay quiet anymore because, as she said, the truth about his son, Nick Reiner, had to come out. When she spoke, her voice trembled. Not just from heartbreak, but from this fierce, fiery anger we've never seen from her before. The emotion was so raw, you could feel it right through the screen. Then she dropped a line that froze everyone in their tracks. Word for word, she said, "We all saw the bruises on his soul, but we were too afraid to ask about the bruises on his arms." Sally brought up a quiet lunch they shared just 3 weeks before everything fell apart, and that tiny detail turned out to be massive. It was the last time she ever saw Rob alive. She didn't describe the confident, outspoken filmmaker everyone admired. No, she said, he looked smaller, fragile, like the spark that once lit up every room was fading fast. She noticed something was off. Rob kept glancing at his phone every few minutes, tensing up every time it buzzed. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and asked if he was okay. Rob looked her dead in the eyes and said, "I don't know how to stop Sal. I love him, but I'm terrified of him." That line hit her like a punch. Fear and love tangled together in one heartbreaking confession. At first, Sally assumed Rob was talking about some Hollywood big shot, maybe a producer, maybe a political fight, something professional. But when she got the call that both Rob and Michelle were gone, the truth slammed into her like a truck. Rob hadn't been talking about a rival. He was talking about his own son, Nick Reiner. That realization shattered her completely. And here's where things twist in a way nobody saw coming. Tom Cruise suddenly enters the story. Sounds unreal, right? But hold up, because this connection actually starts to make sense when you piece it together. Mainstream outlets are tiptoeing around it, but the history between Cruise and Reiner runs deep. A Few Good Men was a major turning point for both of them, and the two stayed close over the years. Everyone who's ever worked with Tom says the same thing. He's intense, laser-focused, and always paying attention. Nothing slips past him. And now, it's starting to sound like he might have seen red flags that the rest of Hollywood ignored. According to people close to the investigation, sources who only spoke under tight anonymity, Tom Cruise actually tried to step in months before the tragedy. Apparently, back in November, he staged what sounded like an intervention. The public story was that he dropped by the Reiner home to talk about a new film project. But what really went down that day was way darker. It wasn't Rob he confronted, it was Nick. Reports claim Tom walked right into a scene of chaos, Nick shouting at Michelle, demanding access to a trust fund that had been frozen because of his ongoing substance issues. The tension was explosive, and that's when things got serious. Cruise didn't just stand by. He physically stepped between Nick and his mother. The leaked details of that moment are straight up chilling. Allegedly, Tom later told a close friend that the look in Nick's eyes was empty, cold, and dangerous. He said he could feel that something was deeply wrong right then and there, And here's the wildest part. Tom supposedly pulled Rob aside after and warned him, word for word, "You are not safe in this house. You need to get him out, or you need to get out." Can you even imagine hearing that from Tom Cruise? One of the most powerful, seasoned men in Hollywood, someone who's seen every kind of chaos this town can throw, was shaken by what he witnessed. That says everything. But Rob, he did what so many loving parents do when their hearts outweigh their fear. He defended his child. Reports say he told Tom, "He's sick. We can't abandon him. He just needs one more chance." It's gut-wrenching. A father clinging to hope, even when danger was staring him right in the face. Sally Struthers confirmed all of this heartbreaking family tension yesterday, and it hit like a thunderbolt. She broke down mid-interview, crying through her words as she admitted that Rob's greatest strength, his endless forgiveness, became the very thing that destroyed him. You could hear the pain in her voice, the guilt she still carries for not stepping in sooner. She said Rob had been slowly pulling away, canceling dinners, ignoring calls, and drifting further from his old all-in-the-family crew. A few close friends even tried to plan a reunion dinner to cheer him up, but Rob turned it down without much explanation. That's when Sally said something in her gut screamed that something wasn't right. About a week ago, she decided to drive by his Brentwood home just to make sure he was okay. What she saw chilled her to the bone. Every blind in the house was closed tight in the middle of the day. The place looked less like a home and more like a fortress. She texted him, "I'm outside." Hours passed before she got a reply. Finally, one came through. Just 2 short words. "Not a good time. He's home." Those words hit her like ice. You could feel the dread behind them. Then, Sally dropped a bombshell nobody saw coming. The money situation. People always assume Hollywood families never go broke, but addiction can burn through fortunes like fire through paper. Sally revealed that Rob wasn't just emotionally trapped, he was financially drowning too. According to her, Rob had been quietly selling off assets, not to fund new films or maintain his lifestyle, but to cover massive debts Nick had racked up. We're talking gambling debts, shady IOUs, and money owed to dangerous people, the kind of crowd no one in Brentwood wants anywhere near their gates. Rob was trying to protect his son the only way he knew how, by paying to keep the trouble away. But what he didn't realize was chilling. The real danger wasn't outside those gates anymore. It was already living under his roof. Then came one detail Sally shared that investigators are now treating as a key clue in what happened next. About 6 months ago, during a small family gathering, something happened that everyone brushed off at the time. But now, it looks completely different. Sally said that back then, Rob fell down the stairs. That was the official story, a simple household accident. He supposedly slipped, broke his wrist, and ended up with bruises all over his face. But when Sally went to see him at the hospital, something didn't sit right with her. She told it straight. "I looked at his face, and the bruising wasn't from a fall. It was shaped like a hand." That detail froze everyone listening. She asked him straight up, "Did Nick do this?" And Rob couldn't even answer. He just looked away and started to cry. That silence said everything. They never spoke about it again, but that moment has haunted Sally ever since. Then came Tom Cruise's side of the story, and it made everything even more heartbreaking. People close to him say Tom was crushed by what happened. Apparently, he had stepped in quietly and offered to pay for Nick's full treatment, not just some local rehab, but one of those high-security, ultra-private facilities in Switzerland that handle the toughest cases. He reportedly told Rob, "I'll handle it. Let me take the burden off you." That's how serious he was about helping. But here's where it gets gut-wrenching. Nick refused to go, and Rob refused to force him. Tom later told his inner circle, "I watched a slow-motion car crash for 2 years and couldn't stop it." Can you imagine carrying that kind of guilt? The thought of seeing all the warning signs and being powerless to change the outcome, unbelievable. Now, Nick's defense team is already working overtime to rewrite the story. Word is, they're planning to push a narrative focused on mental health, claiming he suffered a sudden break from reality. But when you start connecting the dots from what Sally, Tom, and others have shared, the picture that forms is way darker than anyone in Hollywood wants to admit. Sally Struthers isn't buying the mental break version, and honestly, neither should anyone else. Yesterday, she spoke with fire in her voice, making it crystal clear that this wasn't some random outburst of madness. It was planned. She described how Nick manipulated everyone around him like a master of control. He knew exactly which buttons to press, she said, switching between charm and cruelty like it was second nature. According to Sally, Nick could flip the switch anytime he wanted. He'd show up sweet, apologetic, acting like the caring son Rob always prayed would come back, just long enough to get a check signed, a key handed over, or a door unlocked. And then, bam! The mask would drop and the real Nick would show. What came next, she said, was pure psychological torment. Rob and Michelle weren't living in peace. They were surviving in what Sally called a domestic war zone. That one phrase sent chills down everyone's spine. And it raises a tough question. Where were all their other friends? Why was it only Sally and these few leaked whispers from Cruz's circle speaking up now? Sally didn't hold back when she answered that. She said it straight, because Hollywood protects its own. This industry hates scandal, and nobody wanted to face the idea that the beloved, wholesome Rob Reiner, the man who represented warmth, humor, and heart, had been living in fear inside his own home. It shattered the perfect image Hollywood had built around him. But Sally, she's done playing the silence game. At 77, she's got nothing left to lose and everything to say. She's lost too many people she cared about, and now she's ready to tell it all. She said she doesn't care about protecting reputations or careers anymore. She wants justice. She even called out the enablers, the so-called friends, who kept supplying Nick, the doctors who signed off prescriptions like candy, and the legal system that kept letting him walk free just because of his last. Everyone always talks about Rob, but Michelle, she was the quiet force holding that household together. Sally said Michelle once confessed that she had started locking her bedroom door at night. Just imagine that, sleeping in your own home, terrified of your own child on the other side of the door. That detail alone sends chills crawling up your spine. Michelle once told Sally something that still echoes in her mind to this day. I wake up to the sound of footsteps in the hall, and my heart stops. That one haunting line paints the whole picture. Rob and Michelle weren't living the glamorous Hollywood life everyone imagined. They were trapped, prisoners inside their own mansion. The cruelest part? The person keeping them hostage wasn't an outsider. It was their own son. According to the timeline Sally pieced together from investigators, what happened that final night wasn't some sudden burst of rage. It was a slow, terrifying siege. Nick had reportedly been unraveling for 3 straight days. Neighbors later admitted they'd heard shouting, doors slamming, glass breaking, on and off, for nearly 48 hours straight. So why didn't anyone call the police? Because this was Brentwood, the land of quiet gates, manicured lawns, and polite silence. Nobody calls the cops on their famous neighbors. You just turn up the music, sip your wine, and pretend you didn't hear a thing. But that silence, that so-called politeness, gave Nick the time he needed to lose control completely. Tom Cruise's leaked info adds another heartbreaking twist. Reports say Rob did reach out for help that night, but not to 911. Instead, he called a private security firm, hoping to keep it quiet. The call was logged at 9:15 p.m. The guard didn't arrive until 9:45. By then, it was too late. That 30-minute gap, just half an hour, was when everything ended for the Reiner family. Sources say Cruise is furious over how it was handled. He's reportedly been questioning how a call like that could have been treated so casually when the man on the other end sounded terrified. You can almost hear his frustration, because maybe that's the real tragedy here. Even in those last desperate moments, Rob was still trying to protect his son. Instead of saying, "He's going to kill us," he probably said something softer, something like, "My son's having an episode. Can you send someone?" That's the kind of man he was, a father who couldn't stop seeing the little boy he raised, even when that love put him in danger. It's devastating when you think about it. Rob wasn't blind. He knew things were bad, but that instinct to protect your child, it's so powerful it can override everything, even the instinct to survive. Sally said it best, her voice breaking when she spoke. Rob died trying to be a father. Those words hit like a punch to the chest. It's tragic, it's human, and it's exactly what makes this story so unbearable, because at the end of it all, love was the very thing that destroyed him. According to the coroner's report, Michelle had defensive wounds, clear signs she tried to fight back, but Rob, almost none. He didn't resist. He just stood there and took it. The idea of Rob Reiner, a man who spent his life fighting for fairness and speaking out for justice, standing there, unable to lift a hand against his own son, is haunting beyond words. That image alone stays burned into your mind forever. Now, the focus shifts to what comes next. The legal storm building around Nick Reiner's arrest. This isn't just about what happened that tragic night anymore. It's about who gets to control the story. The battle ahead won't just be fought in court over an estate. It'll be over legacy, reputation, and truth. Who gets to shape how Rob and Michelle are remembered? Yesterday, Sally Struthers made a desperate public plea, her voice trembling but fierce. She said, "Don't let them twist it." She begged everyone not to let Nick's defense team turn Rob and Michelle into villains. Sally fears they'll try to spin the story, to paint the parents as controlling or abusive, as if somehow they were the problem. And sadly, we've seen it before. In Hollywood scandals like this, the victim blaming creeps in fast, but Sally isn't staying silent. Not this time. She's speaking up before the spin begins. She said, "Rob's only fault was that he was too soft. That was his so-called crime, loving too much and forgiving too easily." That line cut deep because it's true, and it exposes the heart of this tragedy. And get this, reports now say Tom Cruise is ready to testify. If this case makes it to court, imagine the scene. Tom Cruise taking the stand, his voice cracking as he speaks against the son of one of his closest friends. It would be one of the most emotional courtroom moments Hollywood has ever seen. Insiders say Tom isn't doing it for fame or headlines. He wants justice. He's determined to make sure Nick never walks free again. He wants the jury to know the truth, the full story about the intervention, the warnings Rob got, and proof that all of this could have been prevented. Tom Cruise reportedly told friends he needs the jury to understand one thing. Nick wasn't some lost, confused soul who snapped in the moment. He made choices, cold, deliberate, and chilling choices. And that truth, no matter how painful, has to come out. But here's where this story hits even harder, the part Hollywood doesn't want to talk about. We all watched Nick Reiner grow up. We saw him at premieres, smiling on red carpets, the son of a legend with the world at his feet. Everyone thought, what a lucky kid. But behind those flashes of cameras, behind that Hollywood smile, something darker was brewing. Sally dropped a memory that hit like a gut punch. She said even when Nick was a teenager, there was something in him that unsettled people, something that didn't sit right. She remembered a story from an old rap party years ago, one that no one ever talked about publicly. She said a young Nick was found alone in a back room, quietly destroying property. Not in anger, not yelling, not out of control. Just calmly and methodically breaking things, one by one. That image of a kid sitting there, silently breaking whatever was in reach, chilled everyone who heard it. Because now, looking back, it feels like the first glimpse of a storm that nobody wanted to believe was coming. When Rob walked into that room all those years ago, Nick didn't cry, didn't flinch, he smiled. That eerie little moment has stayed burned into Sally's memory for decades. She said she turned to Rob right then and told him straight, get him help. And they did. They brought in the best doctors money could buy. But as Sally put it, you can't buy empathy. You can't fix a heart with a checkbook. That line hit like thunder, and she's right. Some things, no matter how rich or famous you are, money just can't heal. Since Sally's emotional interview, Hollywood's reaction has exploded. Social media is on fire. People are quietly deleting old photos with Nick, cutting ties, pretending they barely knew him. The great Hollywood distancing has begun. But not Sally. She's standing her ground, firm and unshaken, pointing straight at the truth. She said, Rob Reiner's death shouldn't just be seen as another tragic celebrity story. She called it what it truly was, a case of domestic violence. And she's absolutely right. That's a label we almost never apply to men, especially not to powerful, wealthy ones. But it's time the world faces that reality. This entire story forces people to question everything they thought they knew. Everyone keeps asking the same thing. He was Rob Reiner. Why didn't he just hire bodyguards? Why didn't he kick Nick out? But that's where people don't get it. Love can paralyze you. It clouds your logic, blurs your fear, and traps you in hope. Rob wasn't weak. He was a father who simply couldn't stop loving his son, even when that love was destroying him. Insiders say the upcoming funeral will be extremely private. Every detail is being handled with precision and care. Tom Cruise himself is reportedly making sure the security is airtight. No leaks, no press, and absolutely no unwanted faces from Nick's circle anywhere near the service. It's going to be quiet, guarded, and heartbreakingly intimate. Sally Struthers will be speaking at the funeral, and she told reporters she has one final letter to read to Rob, a letter she said contains the conversation we never finished at that lunch 3 weeks ago. She wouldn't share what's in it, but the way she spoke, you could hear her voice tremble. Everyone in the room went silent. You could tell. It's not just a goodbye. It's closure she never got to give. And buried within all this grief lies a brutal truth that's almost impossible to accept. It's about the limits of love. We grow up believing what Rob's movies taught us, that love conquers everything, that patience and care can fix any wound, that no matter how dark it gets, there's always a happy ending waiting just over the horizon. But life isn't the Princess Bride, and in the real world, love doesn't always conquer all. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try to save someone, they're already determined to drown. And worse, sometimes they drag you under with them. Yesterday, Sally Struthers shattered Hollywood's long-standing silence. She tore down the glittery illusion of the perfect, untouchable celebrity family. And in doing so, she gave Rob something priceless back: his humanity. He wasn't a legend in those final moments. He was just a dad, terrified, heartbroken, still trying to love the person who hurt him the most. That image cuts deep because it's real. It's what so many people live, but few ever talk about. As we wait for the trial and investigators continue combing through what they're calling the House of Horrors in Brentwood, one thing echoes loud and clear. The warning signs were always there. We just didn't want to see them. Tom Cruise saw the danger. Sally Struthers tried to sound the alarm, and Rob and Michelle lived with those warnings every single day, trapped inside a nightmare that no one wanted to admit was real. It's the tragedy of missed chances, all the little off-ramps where someone could have acted, when one phone call or one changed lock might have rewritten the ending. But those chances slipped away, and now what's left is silence. The silence of a house that once rang with laughter. The silence of a director who still had so many stories left to tell, and the haunting echo of Sally's voice reminding the world, it didn't have to end this way. But this story isn't over yet. It's still unfolding. Court filings are expected to drop tomorrow morning, and word on the street is that investigators may have uncovered audio recordings from inside the Reiner home, captured by a smart device, maybe an Alexa or something similar. If those files exist, and if the jury ever hears the final moments of Rob and Michelle Reiner, it could seal Nick's fate completely. That would be the ultimate, bone-chilling piece of evidence, the final nail in the coffin for his defense. For now, all we can do is wait and watch as the truth claws its way to the surface. But while we wait, take a moment to think about the people in your life. Check in on the ones who've gone quiet. Reach out to those who seem fine, but have that tired look behind their smile. Because sometimes, the people who look happiest in public are the ones hiding the deepest pain behind closed doors. Rest in peace, Rob Reiner, a man who gave the world laughter, love, and unforgettable stories. You deserved a far better ending than this. If this story hit you hard or opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Share this video so more people can hear the truth that Hollywood too often tries to hide. Your support keeps these stories alive. And together, we can keep shining light on the darkness they'd rather keep secret. See you in the next video.